Good morning. Happy Monday. It's Monday Mojo. And yeah, it's a beautiful morning. Absolutely beautiful morning. Did you hear that? Oh my goodness, what's happening? I think I had it open twice. Oh dear. I hope it hasn't been live for like 8. No, it hasn't. It's 27 seconds. That's fine. Oh, I thought it was going a bit too smoothly this morning. Never mind. Anyway, good morning. I hope you're all okay. I hope it's as beautiful a morning where you are as it is here. I had the most amazing experience this morning. I'll tell you about it when everybody's in. Good morning, Isabel. How are you? Nice to see you. Oh, thank you. I even got my hair curled today. Good morning, Francis. A bit different to last week. On Thursday, I forgot that my workshop started half an hour earlier than I usually start them. And I just didn't get time to do my hair, so it was a little bit scraped back. All a bit of a rush. So that's good. Good morning, Francis. You're good as well. Oh, good, Isabel. I hear you've been away. I think you've been on holiday or you've been away doing something or busy doing something else. I don't know. I just know that Abby had said that you hadn't been having any classes recently. So good morning, Marjorie. It is a good morning. It's absolutely glorious. Good morning, Linda. Lovely and sunny where you are too. Oh, good. It's cold though. It's cold. Look, I've even got the turtleneck on today. It's that chilly. And oh, how lovely this room has been during the summer because it's been the only cool retreat. It's actually really cold. So I sense a portable heater coming on in my shopping basket. Good morning, Bridget. Bridget's saying good morning to everybody else. That's lovely. So this morning I went for a walk at about 7:30 with the dog. And so when Chris does the shop, I do the dog walk. And when I do the shop, Chris does the dog walk. So my morning today, and it was really cold. I thought, oh no, put my coat on, wellies, went up the road and the visibility was so poor. The fog was so thick that I could probably see about 5 meters in front, if that. Couldn't see road signs. So it was really foggy. Anyway, wandered up the road. It's a bit spooky actually on your own that time of morning when it's foggy. But I got the dog with me, so I was okay. Wandering up the road, and then Willow always wants to go into the fields. So anyway, the field looked a bit spooky for me. So I thought, no, I'll just stick to the road. Anyway, I thought the field looked lovely and the fog was so low you could only see a little bit, and it was just gorgeous. So I walked in there because also I could hear cars coming, but I couldn't see them. So I thought it probably best to take the dog in the field. So I went into the field and I was sort of looking and I turned back on myself and I saw, first time I've ever seen it, didn't even know they existed. It was a fog bow. So it wasn't a rainbow, there's no rain obviously, but the fog is obviously so thick and dense with water that the sun had started to come up and it was burning through the fog obviously, and it created this amazing rainbow, and it just looked like the sky was rainbow moonstone. It was absolutely amazing. I felt so lucky. Those moments when you just go, I thought it was the most amazing sight. Has anybody ever seen one of those before? It was so beautiful. Very subtle. Like at first I didn't see the colours. I just saw sort of the shape of a rainbow. And I just thought, that looks like a rainbow, but it was so close as well. It was literally in the field I was in one end and the other end was in the field next door. So I was so close to it. Like I felt like I could have gone to the end of the rainbow. But the field was a bit creepy, so I didn't. But it was incredible. And it was just white at first. I thought, is that a rainbow? It's the same as that arc shape. And then suddenly I saw this very, very subtle colours in the white air. It was absolutely gorgeous. And then all of a sudden you can see the water particles floating around. I thought my blood pressure was a bit high, but it wasn't. It was water particles in the air. It's just wonderful, really wonderful. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Sonia. Yeah. So has anybody ever seen a fog bow before? Does this exist? I haven't even Googled it. A fog bow. Incredible. This made me want to get all my rainbow quartz out. Right, let's have a look. Fog bow. Fog bow. Fog bow rainbow. A fog bow is a white or sometimes faintly coloured optical phenomenon similar to a rainbow, but formed when sunlight interacts with tiny water droplets in fog, mist, or cloud, rather than the larger raindrops of a classical rainbow. The small size of these water droplets causes the light to scatter and interfere, smearing out the colours and resulting in a pale, ghostly, and often broader arc compared to a coloured rainbow. Well, there you go. I witnessed that this morning. It was amazing. Oh, isn't that awesome? I think you all have to research now. Hi, Sonia. I haven't got. I am good. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm sure. I can't. It's not auto changing, translating for me, Sonia. So I can't understand everything you're saying, but I'm sure it's all lovely. So hello, from wherever you are. Yeah, pale, ghostly, pale and ghostly. It was amazing, amazing. See if I can find some images for you. Yeah, just like that. Just like that, but it was fainter than that because it was foggier than that. So more like that. The light's going to play up, isn't it? More like that. It was really, really beautiful. Willow didn't know what was going on because I just kind of stood in awe for ages, like taking it in. But, you know, it was only there for a matter of, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, maybe a bit more, because the light was coming up and the sun was burning the fog so fast because the sun was coming up through the clouds or through the bottom of the hedgerows, you know, as it rose up. And yeah, just a glorious sight. I feel so privileged this morning to have seen that, to have been out. And you know what? That is probably the best bit about having a dog is the fact that it does force you to go out and see these amazing sights. So you know, I'd never have seen that if I didn't have to take Willow out, or if I didn't have to do Mojo this morning, I would never have seen that because it's on Mojo Monday mornings. I don't do the shop because I'm working on a Monday. I have all day in the studio on a Monday. So thank you guys. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have seen the rainbow, the fog bow. Is there a pot of silver rather than a pot of gold at the end of the fog bow? Well, I don't know, Joe. I should have gone because I could literally see the bottom. I could see where it was hitting the field. Having said that, had I walked towards it, probably wasn't there. You know, it's elusive, isn't it? But it did feel like I was a few feet away from it, almost like it was like a waterfall of fog. Because the only reason I noticed it at first, because there was a much denser area in the field, and that drew my eye to it. And as I followed it up, I could see the arc. So yeah, really amazing. I hope you all get to see one, or at least have a look online, get some images, because it's really, really beautiful, really lovely. I think Chris was quite jealous when I came back. I was like, Chris, you never guessed what I saw. Yeah, it was lovely. So I feel the rainbow moonstone may come out of the box today to see what I can do with it, because it's inspired me. And I've got this bit of selenite, this massive column of selenite that I'm looking at right now, right in front of the desk. And that's reminding me of it as well. Yeah, beautiful, really gorgeous. Anyway, hopefully I get some time to use that bit of inspiration this morning, because that's the problem, isn't it? You get these bits of inspiration, and then you've got to get on with everything else. And I've got lots going on at the moment. So is anybody, do you remember, was it last week or the week before, I was talking to you guys about doing a collection for a village? Were you in the other day? Can't remember if it was last Monday or the one before. And anyway, I'm doing, just in case you didn't know, I'm doing a collection of jewellery that's exclusive to a village shop, a community-run village shop in a neighbouring village. I can't see your postman, but I can see you now. I can see you now. Right. Have I missed one from you? No, I've got no others, ma'am. By the way, Andrew is my mum. It's not actually Andrew, it's Sherry. She's just using Andrew's account. Mum, it's only a few days till I see you. I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been counting the days. On Friday, I will be with my mum at long last. Actually, I got really emotional last night thinking, oh my God, I can see Mum on Friday. I was crying. Chris said, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm just really happy. Yeah, it's exciting. I tell you what's worse though, Mum, is knowing that you're just going to be 20 minutes away from Wednesday. That's going to be really difficult, knowing that you're just down the road for a few for a few days before I see you. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so I'm doing this collab, this exclusive collection for a village. It's something I've never done before, and I said it'd be nice if, you know, if it inspires you to take on a challenge like this as well. So I haven't seen any posts from anybody yet that might be perhaps taking it on as a challenge. But is anybody thinking about doing it? Has anybody had any thoughts about doing this challenge with me? I'd love to see it, because there are certain challenges that come up within it. So anyway, I'll tell you, whilst I wait for you to answer, I'll tell you what I did Friday. So Friday, I went down to the village shop, or the cafe. It's like a shop and cafe. So basically, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the village shop shut down. And because it's very, very difficult to keep a village shop alive. It's not very profitable. It's very demanding, and it, it's not a prospect really for anybody that actually wants to make a living. So especially a shop in Bishop Wilton, which is a bit bigger. The shop's bigger, so therefore, more to fill, more shelves to fill, more running costs, etc. And so it closed down, and nobody was going to take it on. Nobody wanted to buy it. And so the villagers got together and fundraised to reopen the shop. And they called upon the collective skills of the village. So there was somebody who does bookkeeping, somebody who is good at marketing, somebody who's good at front of house, somebody who would manage it, somebody to be treasurer, all that. And it runs as a charity or a cooperative now, and it's run purely by volunteers. There are 2 paid staff members. One is sort of manages the whole project, volunteers, etc., and the other one manages the shop. So there's two members of staff, but everything else is run with volunteers, and they've sort of diversified, made it a bit of a cafe. They've got a mezzanine above the shop, which has a lovely cafe / workshop area, and it's really gorgeous, and just that community, feel. And it doesn't just attract people from the village, it also attracts people from neighbouring towns as well, because they just get involved. It's a great thing to be involved in, and it's a great way of making friends for people who are maybe a bit isolated. So it's a smashing place. And I went and spent the day there on Friday to sort of absorb the energy, meet some of the patrons, some of the staff, some of the visitors. It gets a lot of cyclists and walkers through there, so I met with some of them. Spoke to a lovely lady who was hoping to come and live in the village. So I got to speak to lots of people, and I did a questionnaire with them, which was a bit like this. So a consultation. So I asked about what the first image or memory that comes to mind when they think of the village is, if they could describe the village in 3 words, if there are any landmarks that are significant or hold special memories, a story or legend about the Bishop Wilton, local traditions, a colour that or texture or shape that represents it for them. And then what does community mean to that person? So quite a broad selection of questions. And my idea is to take all these questions and create a piece of jewellery that represents what the outcomes of this is. So an overriding colour, for example, that came out, a nice simple one to translate, was green, and some say gold and copper as well. So obviously that warmth is apparent. A lot of people, that one of the words that come out a lot is community and friendship, collaboration, all these words. So I had the idea to put all these words, but literally the whole sentences or the keywords. So I missed out the's and be and I and we and all the little bits in between. So I put them all in and created a Wordle. Do you know what a Wordle is? It's like a word collage. I haven't got it here. I might have it on here. And so what that did is it pulled out the most repeated or important words. So I got a visual snapshot of all the key words and key things within the text. So that was interesting. There are a few things, because people use different words, there are a few things that weren't prominent that probably should have been, but it was a really good start point. So I just thought that was something I could share with you guys as well, that if you are taking notes from a person about a commission, this might be a really good way of doing it. And it's something that I've done before. Let me just go on to view all recent time. So when I've done a lot of free writing in the past. So if I've got a problem, or I'm a bit bogged down, or not feeling great, or struggling with a dilemma, I will write. I call it free writing, and you write down everything. You just don't think about it, you just write. It might not make any sense, it might be a bit scrawly, but it's a good way of just pouring out thoughts and feelings getting it off your chest basically and onto a page. And then the next phase of that activity is to look through that writing. Don't necessarily read it. You can, but it can be quite enlightening actually to read it. But highlight words that are repeated, because then you can sometimes get to the root of an issue, and it might not actually be what you think it is. So you can keep pulling out repeated words, and it will give you a really good insight into what's actually going on. It's almost like you're taking your conscious out of it and working with your subconscious when you do it that way. And a good sort of therapist or coach will notice repeated words, and that's how they will help you resolve issues. And so it's basically a way of helping yourself. But I thought, well, this could also work for this consultation. Stop me if I'm going on too much, all right? So I put these words into a Wordle, and you can see these: community, green, friendship, peace, beauty, space, shop, wolds. These are the prominent words that came up, which is nice, isn't it? So there was that one, and then I had some more in, so I then did the next one, which had Bishop Wilton in it as well. But again, beauty, green, shop, hidden gem, peace, friendship, stream, wolds, green, all these things are the prominent things. So I thought, well, it's another way of me narrowing down and starting to get a visual representation of of what's important to the people of Bishop Wilton. And so that's where I've got to. Now all I have to do is decide on the design. That sort of gets all that in. So the next thing that I thought might be the easiest thing to do is to allocate or attribute a gemstone that represents a lot of these things. So I did a little bit of research. Green, I started with that as my foundation. So I thought about all the green gemstones. So peridot, emerald, malachite, Kambaba jasper, jadeite, serpentine. There's loads, isn't there? There's loads of green gemstones. But when I looked at then the meanings of each, I got to where am I? Where's my peridot? Peridot seemed to be the most fitting. And where have I wrote it down? Oh no. That's right. Where have I written it down? All my little scribbles in here. So anyway, here are some scribbles. So I started with the idea of creating some sort of sigil. And then I came with putting the idea of the sort of a stylized image of the village. So here's the church and the stream into a circle, which sort of thinks about connectedness. And I got lots of words dotted around that sort of helped me guide where I was going with it. Why have I got, where is my little thing about peridot? The other thing was jasper, green jasper. One of the things about green jasper and its representation is it says it reminds people to help each other, which I thought was really quite nice. Peridot's your favourite, Mum, is it? Is it? I didn't know that. Why didn't I know that? It's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, and it's August birthstone, so it's Andy's birthstone. Peridot meaning. Let's have a look if I can. I used the Gem Bible, so there must have been something in there. Spiritual meaning of peridot. There was something about it being past, present, and future. That's what I remember. I must have wrote it down somewhere. Maybe I skipped a page. I must have skipped a page. No. I don't know where I put it, but there was something about peridot that hi Carrie. There's something about peridot that helps you to remember the past, embrace the now, and move into the future. There's something really lovely about it, and I thought how nice for Bishop Wilton, because it is a village that's evolved to meet the needs of its community, you know. So I thought peridot works really well from a color perspective, from a meaning perspective, and it's beautiful, isn't it? So so peridot probably is the stone I'm going for. And then I worked on this concept of creating sigils. So I started with this just to try and think about a shape or an emblem, considering that I have to bring this one element throughout all the pieces that I create for them. So this is where I've gone in my mind, and then this evolved, and then I came around to this one here, which symbolizes the church here, which is partly where Bishop Wilton gets its name. The bishop there was a bishop's palace built there, and St Edith's Church is sort of key in the visual of Bishop Wilton. When you look at it, it's very key visually, but it's also very key in terms of Bishop Wilton's evolution and status on the map. And so the church is in there. And then it takes it. I've used one fluid line, tried to use one line, so that connotation is continuity throughout. And then round in a circle to represent unity, round down. This represents a B for bishop, and then up. And if you turn it that way, it also represents a W for Bishop Wilton. And it also made me think about roots of a tree. So the roots coming down, so like as above, so below, that sort of thing. So there's lots of thoughts in there into this design. And this is where I've got to so far. So my first little mock-up. And then I realised that this actually looks a little bit like a key, doesn't it? So it's like almost like the keys to the community, or the keys to, yeah. So there's lots of things, whether that, is serendipitous, that the overall shape is quite key-like, or I don't know. But anyway, this is where I'm at so far. So what do you think? What do you think? Do you reckon I'm on the right lines? So with this, I figure it could be. Oh, thanks, Mum. So I'm thinking it could be a pendant like this. It could form part of a neckline piece. As an emblem. It's obviously lovely as an earring shape. It could sit across the wrist, sort of at the center of a bracelet. It could be a key ring. So this could then go into various things. Great as a scarf pin. Yes, Joe, lovely. I'm thinking brooches will probably be the best seller, brooches, key rings, because I think more people can connect with that. And find a place to utilize it. And if this isn't your style jewelry, it doesn't matter if it's keyring, because I think people will buy into it, because the proceeds also support the village too. So it's a nice sort of collaborative piece all in. So yeah, so that's where I'm at, and I'm thinking there's lots of spaces here I could incorporate a peridot or a gemstone within here, which would not only decorate it but also strengthen it. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. What do you think? Do you reckon I'm on the right track? Would you like it? I've really enjoyed the process, like the problem solving, the thinking outside the box, the finding ways of narrowing down information. It's been really inspiring. I'd like to do more of this sort of thing. What do you reckon? Do you want to have a go? I mean, can you have a go? I'm happy to share my questionnaire so that you can perhaps tailor it to your community or your family. I mean, it could be a piece to represent your family, couldn't it? I mean, it doesn't have to be as broad as community, just your family or your friendship group. And you're like, oh, good. Thanks, Barbara. You would never think all that thought process went into it. People don't realise, do they? No, they don't. And I think probably accompanying this would be the story of it, the story. And sort of when you buy a piece like this, with a story like that, you need to know the story. So it will come with a little brochure that sort of explains it. Oh, thanks, Bridget. So you reckon I'm on the right track then? It's difficult, isn't it? Because I've gone in as this designer to do it, and it's not like I can go, is it all right? So I'm asking you a lot. You're my friends. You can tell me. You think it looks quite Egyptian? Oh yeah, I think I've got that vibe going on at the moment. Do you get that as well? You get that Egyptian vibe, and then everything sort of seems to be slanting in that direction. It does look quite Egyptian. more. It does. Maybe that's okay. What do you think would change it from being Egyptian? Maybe more angles. I might try it actually with this here, this bit here, being a bit more angular. Because then it would be more representative of a B and a W, wouldn't it? Bishop and Wilton. So if it was a bit more... Anyway, I'm happy with it as a shape, as an emblem. I like the fact that it looks like a key. Just need to try and scale it up and down a little bit and do it so that I can reproduce it. You don't think it needs changing, Mum? You like it as it is? Yeah. So yeah, so now I need to create myself some sort of jig so that I can reproduce it as many times as necessary, and in different sizes. So you know, it's very stitched together very loosely at the moment. So yeah, a bit of work needs doing, but I think I might try and evolve that before I rethink anything and see what happens. But of course, they want a collection ready for Christmas, so I'm going to have to get my skates on. It might make it too literal. Yeah. Yes, part of it is nice, the symbolism rather than it being literal. There's the little bit at the bottom. I'm not entirely happy with that bit, but I've put that bit in so that it could be a connector, so that it can connect. So, but maybe if it was a pendant, I don't have that bit on. That's just trying to be integral. The other idea is I carve it to make a relief of the actual, just the design, and stamp it into clay or something like that to create sort of almost talisman like stones almost, to so that it's just the emblem. So there's that to consider, which I might do, just use it almost like a logo. So in my little town, there is a pepper pot building, the old museum, now covered in scaffolding, like a lot of the shops, etc. Yeah, a lot of them. You know, a lot of them can't survive. You know, cost of running the shop's very expensive, and you're constantly in competition with, you know, big brands, supermarkets, things like that. You just can't compete as a little shop. Sometimes we go to the wholesaler to buy stock here, and it's more expensive in the wholesaler than it is in Tesco, for example. So when you look at it like that, you think, how can the small shops compete? You know, we drive around for hours trying to find the best deals so that we can, you know, put a markup on things and sell them in our shop. And basically we just provide a convenience that people don't have to drive into town. That's what we do. So people only really use the village shop when they've run out of something in their house, for example. They don't use it for their weekly shop, and we just probably we couldn't fit everybody's weekly shop in ours anyway. Yes, our lovely butcher now closed. Yeah, it's a shame. It will come back round though, Linda. Like, you look at the way the world's going, I'm sure it will come back round, because everything is going to have to be localized. You know, you're looking at the taxes on import and export now. I don't want to get political really, but you know, it will come back round. People are starting to be a bit more conscious about where they shop and how they shop and who they give their money to. So, you know, I'm sure it will come back round. But in the meantime, these skills and things are being lost because of this interim sort of transition, or before we all wake up and realise actually the only way to make things change is from our purses, and that's or our forks, as they say. You know, you vote with your fork about what you eat and where you eat it from. But at the same time, you're dictated to by your budget, aren't you? So if everybody, I'm sure everybody would much rather buy their meat locally or from the local farm shop, and all their vegetables from I don't know, Jeff down the road who grows his own. But these things are much more expensive. And so, a lot of people have no choice but to use the supermarkets and, discount stores, etc., because that's, what suits their budget. You can't tell people otherwise, can you? You do what you have to do. You buy what you need to buy. But I think if you can, it's good to buy locally from small businesses because it keeps them alive. But what can we do? We just gotta do our best, haven't we? Fight our corner, do our best, and collaborate. So do things that get people involved, because if people are involved, they feel invested, and then if they feel invested, they're likely to spend their hard-earned money with you instead. So yeah, that's what we're doing, a little bit at a time. That's what we're trying to do in the shop anyway, try and get people involved. Right, what else can I tell you? I've actually booked some workshops in person. So I've got 3 in-person workshops coming up in the village. Already got bookings for Christmas one, and I've only got 6 spaces left on my Halloween one, which is the creepy spiders. So that's going really well. It does mean I'll be doing less workshops online. So in the future, you'll probably only see 1 or 2 workshops online from me per month, just because time is, I haven't got extra days. So the days that I'm teaching here, I won't be teaching online. But it just means hopefully I can harness more people into those workshops than having one every week. So a few less workshops online from me, but a few more in person. So if you're ever in the neighbourhood on some of the dates for the workshops, then you can book and come along. That'd be good to see some of you in person. I've got nothing sort of intermediate or advanced at the moment, because I'm trying to gauge who's local that wants to do workshops, or even if they're just starting out making jewelry. So I'm trying to get the newbies. Hello, Nicola. Nice to see you. What else? And I've got a talk, an open day at another local village in a couple of weeks. So I've been prepping for that. So it's all go. It's all very busy for me at the moment. Couldn't download the video link. Oh, who else is in that was in on that workshop, Linda? See if anybody else had a problem with it. Nobody else has got to me. So Helen, who did I have? Helen, Joe. Joe, have you tried downloading the link from the workshop on Thursday? There is another way I can do it, Linda. So let me write that down. Oh, also, do you want to do some voting for your mini mystery make today? Linda, workshop link. A 6 for Nick. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 6 for Nicola. Anybody else going to vote today? A 1 for Carrie. Struggling to find more demos for our box. I think I'm going to have to start rethinking what I do on the mini mystery make, because it's just hard to keep finding demos. Not sure what else to put in. I was scrabbling around this morning trying to find a new one to put in. I'm sure some repeats won't be too bad. A 2 for Francis and a 6 for Linda. You will also see me on Charmers Gems this evening. I've got the most gorgeous cubes. I think I gave you a sneaky peek last Monday. No, it was you guys that are on the workshop, wasn't it? So I gave you a sneaky peek, but I'll just show you. I've got this. Can you see these? The most exquisite garnet cubes Come on, let's get a focus going. Doesn't like focusing, does it, up here? Oh, there you go. Can you see them? Look at those garnets. Oh, they're just magic. Garnet cubes. And then I've got the same sort of quality cubes in. Oh, look at that. This is just delicious. This is the best. This is the best quality Amazonite I've ever worked with. Look at the colour of it. Can you see it? Because they're cubes, you can get them to sit really beautifully, you know, on flat. So you can get these like really. It's just so gorgeous. So I put this one flat onto like a bangle, and I've also I'm not finished these, but I'm going to create like a Creole style earring with these. I've still got a bit of shaping to do here. That's why I'm. Can you see how they're set on there? Just because they. Oh, blimey! This blimmin' camera. There you go. They're so shiny, like it just throws the light off all the time. But because they're cubes, they just sit so beautifully, row up so nicely. So I'm thinking that will sit like that. It will eventually, like that on my ear. So I'm going to put a fixing on there. But I think they are just gorgeous. Yeah, so pleased with those. Number 6 for Lynn. BS5 enthusiasts, hello. What's the stream for? This is a weekly catch-up. I'm Gemma Crow, jewelry maker, designer, teacher, and this stream is just for everybody that likes to keep up to date with what I'm doing, get a bit of inspiration, and do a tutorial. Thank you. Linda, did I get you for number? I did say number 6. Barbara, number 7. If you want to vote on which basic, so let me explain just in case I forget there's new people come in. So I have a box here full of demos. You can see it numbered 1 to 10, and in each box is a piece of jewelry or a component for jewelry making that I will demonstrate based on the number of votes. So it's a mystery. It's called a mini mystery make. And number 6 for Isabel and for Bridget. Loads. So that's that. What else have I got? I got this one, which I think looks lovely. So in here I've got peach moonstone, orange garnet, and yeah, sort of red garnets as well. And I've just twisted them together and they just look lovely in that braid. Beautiful colours, very autumn again. Did my weekend. The weekend. What did we do this weekend? So the I don't know which weekend, Nick. I did do the Bishop Wilton thing, which you'll have to catch up on the stream because I don't think everybody wants to hear it all again. But yeah, I had a great time and really enjoyed putting together some inspiration for the project. It was great. So here's some earrings with the garnets. The cubes just give you options and they just sparkle so differently. Right, I haven't put a backing on here, but this is a very indulgent piece with the cubes, but I absolutely love this. So these are the most gorgeous lapis lazuli. They're beautifully cut cubes. And I've just wound them around. I haven't put ends on yet. I've just wrapped them around a rope. Why can I never do this? And I will wear that just like that. If I had more of them, I would do 2 sections and then I would have something hanging in between the two sections, if you know what I mean. So section here, and then something. So 2 sections, and then a dangle in the middle, some sort of lapis cab. But it's just gorgeous, isn't it? I just love that. Very simple, very classy, great over the top of a jumper or just peeking out of a shirt. What gauge wire in the earrings? 0.8 I've used, Isabel, and 0.4 to sort of channel set the cubes. Now, channel set in wire in a wire style, so is really easy with a cube, and it does, and they sit so beautifully, they row up beautifully. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. I've also made these Creole earrings, because the channel setting is sort of like the nicest way to showcase them, I think. So I've got some little Creole earrings as well. So yeah, lots to show you this evening. And then I've been rosary linking some. I've got some more on the go down here. So there'll be loads more this evening. So 6 o'clock on Charmers Gems Instagram, you can find me live with all these beautiful cubes and some great demos. I say great demos. I think they'll be great. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. I think I need them. I like the twist bracelet. Yeah, that's a nice, and that's easy. That's so easy, that one. Just a macrame bracelet. And I'll talk through it this evening. So come and see how it's done. 6 o'clock, Charmers Gems Instagram. Right, so come on then. Any more with the votes? I was very inspired. I was, Nikki. You like the bracelet? Yeah, I like the bracelet. Which one? I got 3 bracelets. I got a wiry work one, which looks really quite ornate. I got this one, which is quite simple and modern, very sparkly. You just see how sparkly it is, can't you? That's why the camera won't focus, because they're so sparkly. That one, and I got the twisty one I just showed you. So yeah, loads to show you this evening. Yeah, I have no idea how much they are. I haven't seen my sales sheet yet, so I don't know how much they are, but I should imagine they'll be reasonable. The quality is amazing, really amazing. I was just looking what's going on. I can hear lots of bashing and banging outside. Okay, so if I've got no more votes for tutorials, it looks like I am on number 6 for the tutorial. So what's in? Oh, funnily enough, I only just put. Did 6 win last week as well? Have you cottoned on? That's the one that I change most weeks. You might have. Right, number 6. I just put this one in. I might need to do some shopping around the workshop to be able to do this demo. I need some beads. Seed beads. Oh, actually, what gauge of wire is that? 0.6, 0.8. I'm just thinking, how did I do that? I'm just wondering if I can do it with my little cubes. I think I can, so I'm going to, right, I'm going to use the cubes. I'll use, which one shall I use? I'll use the garnets, orange garnets. Look at them, they're beautiful. Oh, tied them all together. I'm going to use the orange garnets here. Just got to pull this one out of the tangle. Right, I haven't showed you what I'm going to be showing you yet, have I? Right, we get some wire. Get my wire. So I'm going to show you then how to create this beaded toggle and loop So this is to make your own clasps, decorative clasps. Okay, the nice thing about doing a decorative clasp is you don't have to use really heavy wire, and you bind it together so it's much stronger. But it's nice having a decorative clasp because then it doesn't matter if it twists to the front, or you can actually make it part of the feature. So what I'm going to do is bring my camera around here, and my beads just there. I don't know what this is going to be like with cubes, but I think it will be lovely. So I'm just going to put my thumb over the camera so that it doesn't make you dizzy when I move it. And just check if this is the right way. Up, yes. I'm just going to loop this in. How is that? Da-da-da. There we go. Right, so can you see here we've got a loop which is beaded. This has got seed beads on, so you can use seed beads if you want, and this is your loop, and then this is your toggle. Now the thing to remember when you're making your own toggles, your own clasps, is it doesn't actually matter how big or how wide that is really. All that matters is that you can get that sideways through the loop. So it needs to be big enough that once it's through, it's not going to come through the loop. You know, it needs to be wider. This needs to be wider than the loop itself. And not just a little bit wider, significantly, because when this moves around like that, when the sort of attaching part there, the sort of connector then for the chain, if it moves to one side of the loop, you still need that knot to be able to come through the loop. Okay, so the arm on each side of the toggle needs to be at least 2 millimeters then wider than the actual loop. So if you go as a general rule in general, the whole bar for the toggle needs to be at least twice as wide as your loop. Okay, so that then if it does slip halfway, it still can't fall through. And then when the other thing to remember is when you're doing this section here that goes through, we can see the loop there. We need to make sure that our gemstone here isn't really big, because then it will stop that toggle from going through. So you always need a slightly smaller stone or chain just where it attaches, so that it can still go through all the way through the loop to be able to then turn round and sit back in to catch it and keep it in place. All right. So that's something to consider first. So let's go on and make these. So we'll start by making the bar. I'm going to use a 0.6 millimeter wire. If I can find some. Here's some 0.6. Now the reason I'm able to use 0.6 here is because it's doubled up and it's wrapped, okay, and it's supported with gemstones. Otherwise 0.6 would definitely not be strong enough. All right, so 0.6 wouldn't be strong enough without these elements. And if you were making a much bigger one, you would want to go up. But with this one, of course, as well, because we're beading it, our wire needs to go through the beads. Oftentimes that's why a seed bead sort of size 8/0 is good, because they have a good size hole, maybe 0.8 millimeter, which means you can get a wider wire through. But I'm going to be using these, so I'm going to take some of these on to my wire. To find them. I can't actually see the drill hole, so I'm just feeling my way around until they go through the hole. My eyesight has gotten so bad to just turn them until I'm there. Now I want the bar is going to be wider than this, but obviously I need to leave a bit of space because I want a bit of space at either end, and then I also want to be able to put wire in between each of these. So I'm just going to put on about 2/3 of the overall width that I want. Okay, so that's there. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to make a bend either side. So if I go there and make a bend this way, and actually the width of my pliers is going to help me to create that double back on itself. So doubling back on itself there, like that. So that's giving me that sort of row underneath the beads as well. Just see if I can adjust this camera slightly so I can focus in on one area. Bear with me, everybody. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? Now I just have to remember to keep my hand at exactly this point. So you see there, I've bent it back and it's sort of, it's got a slight angle there, which means that these still sit in there and the wire is just not quite touching it, but parallel with the wire that the beads are on. Okay, so we'll do the same the other side, and remembering to leave some space. So leave a bit of space there, and then use your pliers again up against the last bead, like that, and then push the wire around using the jaws of the pliers to help also give me that bit of space at the end. Okay, so we're like that, and then we're going to find the center here, so sort of the center of that bar, about there, and hold the one of the wires, doesn't matter which one, bring it upwards like that, and then we'll do the same with this one for a moment. We're just going to bring this one up as well, just so that it's sitting out of the way. Eventually this is going to wrap around this one. Okay, so we'll bring that one up too. All right, so we've got what's starting to look like a toggle shape. It's not quite central, so I'm just gonna move that along a bit to make it a bit more central. Okay, there for now. Right, now I'm going to take some 0.4 wire and I'm going to start wrapping this in. So I'm using my scraps. So I'm trying to be good and not cut new wire. Find a decent size scrap of wire. Okay, so now I'm going to start binding around this wire here. So I'm just going to lift it up slightly so I can get in, and then start binding around. Doesn't matter which end you start from. In fact, it's probably easier to bind from this side than down into it. So and with this being a 0.6 wire, quite fine, it is a bit more difficult to bind it because it's finer. So when you try and pull against it, you haven't got the same sort of resistance when you bind. So it is going to be a bit trickier. You could actually scale down a bit and use a 0.25 to wrap, or 0.3 to wrap, which would give you, which would make life a little bit easier. Makes the job longer, but it certainly is neater and a bit easier. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but basically you wrap and bind all the way around that whole section there, and then once you get to the end, you start then incorporating your gemstones. So if you can imagine, I've bound all the way down, and I'm now here at the bottom. I bound all the way around to there, and then we're just going to go in between each of the gemstones. So bind in between each, literally all the way, just straight around to sort of bring them into the design, and also adding that strength and rigidity that the 0.6 doesn't offer, the gemstones will. Okay, so when we get to that one, we can do the same and go around the other side, pull those in, bind, and remember you will have bound all the way around. It won't be as flimsy as this. And then at the end we can then just finish that wire off by going through the end. There should be a little loop left over at the end that you can then thread your 0.4 wire through, and a couple of times, a couple of wraps round, and that will secure it in place. Okay, so that's there, like that. So there's your toggle, and now we want to finish this bar here and make a loop to attach it in. So what I would suggest with a 0.6 wire, this is I would twist these nice and tight and then cut one edge off. So I'm going to do that. So twist, 1, 2 twists, just 2 is fine, and then trim off one of the wires. So trim one of the wires off, and then the other wire you can use to make a loop with your round nose pliers, and then take the tail of that and wrap it around that twisted area. Okay, so that's secured all the wires, but you haven't got too many to deal with for finishing purposes. Okay, and then you can trim off the excess. So let's get rid of all that and pretend we have a nice neat toggle. Okay, so there's our toggle, very pretty. And then we need to make a loop. So remember, the loop has got to be about half the size of that. So the opening for the loop has got to be about half the size, the inner diameter. So take your bail making pliers, or whatever it is, mandrel that you want to use to create that size. So that's probably about that one. And this time we'll make a loop first. So I'm going to make this a bit stronger. So I'm going to go with a 0.8 for the inner loop. This is made in 2 sections. So I've got 0.8 here. I'm going to make the inner loop like that. So just make a loop, and then let's get rid of that. Again, this is great for using your scraps of wire. Okay, and then I'm going to bind the whole thing with 0.4 mil wire. Where is my 0.4 mil wire gone? Here we go. So we can pop one of these up. That's going to be what I make my bail with. This one I will twist around in a minute. So we'll bind the whole thing with 0.4. With this, you can bind up here and push the coil down. Because it's a circle, it can be moved down. So don't worry about trying to get into the circle. Just bind the tail, keep binding there, and then just gently push the coil around as you go. Okay, so you're not having to get into tight spots. So a bind around there, and then if I hold this with my pliers, I can just push that coil and keep pushing it around until I filled the space, instead of trying to bind inside that circle. As long as you don't bind too tight, otherwise you could come into trouble. Okay, so bind until you get to the end, and then push it round. Okay, and just keep doing that until you've filled that circle. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to pretend we've done it. So just push that round. So if you can humour me and pretend that I've gone all the way around. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And then we will use this tail here just to bind around the centre there. Just to hold it. So 1 and 2, just literally just enough to hold it like that. And then with this one we will make a loop. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a neck so that I can bind it in place. So pliers on, push the wire over to the side, then make your loop, and then take the tail of that around that sort of neck area. And we should be able to cut it where the other wrap ends, and then it should nestle in nice and neatly. Okay, so that's that. That's part 1, but then how do we make it pretty? So the next thing to do is we're going to take another piece of 0.6 wire, like we did before. Find a piece. Come on, 0.6. There we go. And this is going to have our gemstones on. So pop the gemstones. You see how easily a 0.6 goes through these tiny gems. It's amazing, isn't it? Because they're so tiny, but you can get a 0.6 through, which means you can do an open rosary link if you wanted to with these. Right, this time I am not going to shape this. I'm going to put it on and then shape it at the end because I may need to add more. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to put this little spiral that sits this end in place, just so that the beads don't fall off. So I'm just going to take my round nose pliers to the tip there and create a nice, neat little discreet spiral like that. Just a little one. And that's going to sit just there in that neck, the neck of what we've just created on that loop. So I could probably go with a little bit bigger on that. Just a tiny bit bigger. Okay. And then we're going to use 0.4. Now, hopefully you will have had some 0.4 left from wrapping, in which case you wouldn't have to add any more in. But if you do, just make sure when you add in your 0.4 wire, you add in and wrap in the same direction as your coil, and then it should sort of disappear and slip in between the grooves of the gizmoed or coiled wire that you've got around that shape, and you won't have any bulky areas. Okay, so you can sort of spiral that, snake that back and nestle it in between the wraps that are there already. Okay, so we get that in place, then we'll attach our wire with our beads that are going to sit around the outside. So just thread up a bead to the top. We're going to put the wire this side of the bead, the loop side of the bead, but if the bead's not there, what will happen is when we wrap this in, it will pull the wire down to the frame, and we want the gap so that the beads sit in there neatly. Okay, so put the bead in place, then take the wire around through the loop and then up around the other side of the bead. Again, don't pull in too tight, and then pop the other bead up next to it. And just keep going around like that. So holding them in place and putting the beads in place before you take the wire around. And there's no tension on this. You're literally placing the wire around because it just needs to go around the wire. It doesn't need to be pulled in tight or anything. Okay, so very, very gently, we just keep adding these all the way around this loop. There we go. And you can see how this sits really nicely on the outside. Now again, it's a great idea having cubes to do this with because of how they row up. They row so nicely, so they look so much neater than a round. Although rounds look lovely, they just, I don't know, there's something about them. So pop that in there and keep going. And that is how you can create a nice decorative clasp. So just remember those ratios. The bar needs to be at least twice as long as the loop. And that's really, you can't really go wrong from there. Put that through there. That through there, and just keep adding them until that space is surrounded. And then when you get to the other end, you just do a loop the other end and then finish it off by wrapping around the loop a couple of times. But that should look equally as nice one side as it does the other, and make a really nice, you know, toggle fastening for a necklace. There you go. That's it. There's your demo. Let me. I'm going to put you back up to the other side. Bear with me. Woo! Upside down me. Head on. Ah. Right, there you go. That was it. Oh, good, Isabel. You're feeling inspired. See you, Linda. Nice earrings as well. I love gems so sparkly. Christmas coming up. Yeah, they're very Christmassy, aren't they? Very sparkly. You're welcome, Nicola. Yeah, so hopefully that's, yeah, they would make really nice earrings as well. You're right. So, you know, that is actually really cute as an earring, isn't it? It would be really cute as an earring. And of course you don't need to which, oh, I can this side there. You can play with them. It's inspired you. You don't even make jewelry. Wow. Well, you know, we could do that on Saturday if you like. I've got the Scrabble out ready. I've been warming up. But we could make jewelry instead. Yes. So, in fact, yeah, I might actually make some earrings like that, just simple scroll ones that sort of spiral through the ear. That would look nice, wouldn't it? Yes. So I think that might have inspired me too. Right then. So if I don't see you, so it's highly unlikely that I will make Monday Mojo next Monday. I'm not sure when Mum's train is, but obviously I'd like to spend as much time with my mum as possible. So I might not get to you Monday for next Monday's Mojo, but I will try and do something in the week instead if I don't, okay? But I will also keep you posted with my Bishop Wilton adventures, creating the collection, and get your feedback on it as we go. And I'd love to see if you decide to do a collection based on a group or village or family or friendship group or club, then I'd love to see how you get on with it. It'd be really nice. We could spark ideas for each other maybe. So yeah, Mum's train's about 11, so which means I will not be doing Monday Mojo on Monday because I will be driving Mum to the train station. But I will be doing Charmers. So I'll be do Charmers Gems this evening, so 6 o'clock on Instagram, or next Monday evening, 6 o'clock on Instagram. But I'll keep you posted. Right, have a lovely week, everybody. If you see it foggy first thing in the morning, get outside just in case you see a fog bow, because you won't regret it. It's absolutely amazing. I just wish I'd had my camera, but then, you know, I wouldn't have locked it in my brain if I'd had my camera. I'd have been busy trying to take a photo of it. So kind of glad I didn't have it, but it's amazing. I'll see you Friday, Mum. And let's see everybody else maybe this evening. Okay. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.